Hello friends, welcome. Today we're starting a video and it's going to be kind of two different things in one. What I was thinking is that we could spend the next 7 days together and essentially we could just kind of like have a realistic view of what I read in a week and also what I wear in a week. I'm at my parents' house this afternoon because Dad and I are going to clean our cars together, but before he gets back and we get stuck in, I thought I could tell you a little bit about what I'm reading at the moment. Hello Heidi, you beautiful thing. I am reading Let This Radicalize You by Kelly Hayes and Mariame Kaba. I've read a few things by Mariame Kaba now, and essentially this one is about organizing and reciprocal care. I'm about a third, almost halfway through it, and I'm really liking it so far, but I am planning and hoping to get plenty of other reading done this week. Anyway, before Dad gets here, I suppose I should show you what I'm wearing, and just you wait till you see how beautiful their garden is. I was just filming a little bit for one of my videos. Dad, I'm standing in front of it. It's okay. Nobody's judging your garden. It's beautiful. Hello.
Hey, Katie.
Do you want to say hi?
Say hi. Hi.
It doesn't.
It working? Oh, wow. Hi. Got the trick-or-treats ready.
You got to talk into this.
Got the cape as well. Trick-or-treats are coming.
It's Halloween today.
Come and press the doorbell.
Okay.
It's got a lovely sound to it. You watch. So this is going to get them so they press.
Oh my god.
What?
Nothing. I just was not expecting to have that much fun. How aesthetic is this? Are you kidding me? Dad, your garden is beautiful. Can you believe he got all shy about showing you it at the beginning? How cute. Anyway, this is my outfit today. It's basically a mix of secondhand finds and beloved classic staples that I've had for years, along with this little bag that I got for my birthday. And I feel very comfortable. So we're all set. The only thing I need to show you, can you see? Ollie's claw got stuck in my jumper on our way over here and she pulled, oh my god, it's a big pull. Oh, I'm so devastated right now. Please tell me, you crafty folk in the comments below, tell me how I can fix this. This has quickly become one of my favorite jumpers and I'm not ready to like see it unravel before my eyes, you know? Anyway, you know the conceit of the video. We're just going to hang out for the next week. We're going to do plenty of reading and I'm going to show you what I wear every day. Right now though, Dad and I are going to have a cup of tea and then clean our cars because mine is filthy. I have been sitting here for most of the day reading Let This Radicalize You, and I've just finished. As I said earlier, I have read from Mariame Kaba before, but I wasn't really all that familiar with Kelly Hayes. Hello, Ollie. And this is a book it seems like they've written together. They do have their own introductions and conclusions, but the rest of the book seems to be like a collaborative work in which basically they just share with us some of the lessons that they've learned in their time organizing. I think in particular some of the key themes that we touched on multiple times throughout the book was like the idea of hope as an action rather than just like a feeling that you have. It's something that you actually do and participate in. There was a lot of talk of reciprocal care, mutual aid, and this idea of refusing to abandon each other. And so I think in a lot of ways this book is really highlighting how central relationships and like building useful relationships is an essential skill to organizing. Now, I am not an organizer by any stretch of the imagination. I did a very little bit of organizing like 12 years ago. And so basically this book is not necessarily for me, but I still found it very interesting and I still had a lot of takeaways. And I underlined a lot in this book, but one of the lines that I underlined came from the chapter on refusing to abandon, and it said, organizers do not have the luxury of misanthropy. We have to believe in people and we have to believe in ourselves. And like throughout this book, Mariame and Kelly like regularly say things like, well, we're fighting for freedom and we might not see that freedom in our lifetimes, but it's still worth fighting for. And that is like hard to just kind of stomach sometimes, I think, when the devastation and the human cost right now is so bad. There's a part of me that's resisting hope, that's resisting the idea that we are worth fighting for, that is resisting imagining a better future. Because it's a lot easier to resent the people around me who are not as committed to justice as I maybe imagined they would be or I wished they would be. It's a lot easier to like feel guilty about what I'm not capable of or what I can't do. It's a lot easier just to be angry and in despair and hopeless than to imagine a better future and to commit to hope as an action. And I suppose that's something I really want to take away from this, is that Mariame Kaba in particular repeatedly in this book and her other one repeatedly reminds us that it is actions that matter. Pontificating on social media, believing a certain thing, whatever. Like those things are nice, but unless you're actually doing something, and that doing will be different for all of us depending on our capacities and whatever. But it is our actions that define who we are. Anyway, I suppose that was a little bit less of a review of the book and more of a review of like how I'm feeling and where I met the book. I do feel like this is a book that I probably should return to in future, and also a book that I'm just going to like keep thinking about. So anyway, that is our first book done and dusted for this video. Are you finished work? Do you want to go for a little bird walk? Yeah, let's go. We're out on our little bird walk, and I thought I'd show you my outfit quickly. I have one of my favorite skirts on. I love this skirt. I got it last year, I think, from Obus, and I got it in kind of like a sale impulse buy sort of situation, but it's quickly become one of my most worn items as far as like skirts and dresses are concerned anyway. Then I have my Jericho Road jumper that I got secondhand earlier in the year. Again, quickly became one of my favorites, and I really love pairing like this jumper, which is really like oversized with kind of like baggy flowy bottoms. So this kind of combination is one of my favorites, one of my go-tos this winter. There's just something about everything kind of being oversized and colorful as like a plus size person that feels like subversive. I feel kind of punk wearing this, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously I've also got my hat on. This was also a thrift find, and look at me wearing black. I'm wearing this little black bag, also a secondhand purchase. Obviously I have an extra accessory right now, but it's sitting beside the camera, and that's my binoculars, because we are out birding and we're having a great time. We just saw an Australian reed warbler for the first time, and we hear them all the time, but today was our first time seeing one, and I think Blair might have even got a little bit of footage of it. He's bought himself a nice camera for us to capture birds, and it's just been the best fun we've had together in a long time. I keep saying it's kind of like Pokemon Go, you know? It's kind of like Pokemon Go cross bushwalking, which if you've been around here for a long time, you'll know is one of my favorite things. So I'm just out here having the best time. Let's get back and see what else. Let's see what else we can find. Welcome to Saturday. Today is nothing like what I thought my Saturday was going to be. It started out with me waking up at 7:30 with asthma. My asthma was triggered. So I quickly logged into like the Melbourne pollen app and saw that today was like a dangerously high pollen count day. I was supposed to go out with my friends today and play some board games, but I did not feel like braving the outdoors. So I instead got up, took my puffer and shut all of the doors and windows, and decided that today would be a reading day instead. And I was really in the mood for something like we read recently, A Magical Girl Retires. I kept thinking about this book and going, I want this again. I spent a heap of time looking at my shelves, which, yes, are a mess. Mind your business. Then it occurred to me that not too long ago, I picked up a book secondhand called The Minotaur Takes a Cigarette Break by Sherrill. I got 8 pages in before I DNF'd this book. I think that has to be a record for me. Now, to be fair, I have read much more offensive, horrible books. I've read much worse written books, but there was something that happened not once but twice in the first 8 pages that just made me fear for my life. No, but genuinely, I had a pretty good sense that this was just not going to be the book for me very quickly. We dive right in to being introduced to the Minotaur working at this diner, and there is one female character that we're introduced to who I think is like the cook or something. Order up, the Minotaur hears from the tinny little speaker hanging just inside the kitchen door. It's Adrian. She's the only one who whines like that. The Minotaur picks at a dried gravy stain on his apron, thinks for a minute about Adrian. Titties, he thinks. Literally, titties, italicized. He thinks it because everyone says it. Big titties bouncing inside the ruffled tuxedo shirt that is her uniform. And then not like 4 pages later, there was another reference of Adrian, and I can't find it. Do not ask me to reread these pages again, please, for the love of God. But basically, there was another reference to her massive tits rubbing up against something. I think it was a counter or a window. It just felt like I should be reading a parody of A Man Writes a Woman, you know? But like in actuality, this is just literally what this guy wrote. There's nothing, absolutely nothing tying me to this book, and twice in the first 6 pages, I don't have high hopes for what the rest of the book is going to offer. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that to myself anymore. So after that unpleasant experience, I kind of agonized over what to read next. And like I said, I just don't feel like I have a lot of like the quirky, funny, satire-esque sort of books on my shelf. Eventually, though, I settled on another book I bought secondhand earlier this year, actually. It's the DallerGut Dream Department Store by Mi Lee. This cover is incredible. Are you kidding me? Anyway, I've read the first 50 pages, and so far I'm having a good time. In this book, we're introduced to our main character named Penny, who is seeking a job at the DallerGut Dream Department Store. But in this version of reality, when we go to sleep, we pretty much just sleep. That is, unless we decide to go purchase some dreams to have. And the way that the department store is described and like this whole buying dreams process is described makes it sort of sound like a bookshop, but for dreams. You know how you go in and there's different genres and you just browse and you kind of have an idea of the vibe that you want, and there's people there to recommend you good dreams. Silly, quirky fun. Like, I'm here for it. And I like that I sort of feel like I'm matching my book a little bit today, which leads me on to, I need to show you my outfit. I suppose you're already seeing most of it, but let's back up so you can have a proper look. So I don't know the timeline of when this video is coming out, but either you will already have seen this outfit or it's a little bit of a spoiler for a different video. Basically, for the last few weeks, I have been getting styled by a stylist on Index called Ray. I've already made one video talking about my first month's experience. I'm currently in the midst of my second month, which I am also filming, hence the like not knowing whether this is a spoiler or not. But this is one of the outfits that she has made for me, and I love it. It's so comfy, it's so fun, but it's still nice and casual, still plenty colourful. I'm a big fan. Basically, we've just got this like parrot t-shirt. Let me give you a good view. It's pretty fun, it's pretty cute. I got this on Depop not too long ago. Also, these pants are secondhand. You might remember my favourite orange pants, which are Lucy and Yak Cole jeans. These are also Lucy and Yak Cole jeans. I found them on Facebook Marketplace and I'm happy to have them. Although obviously, me being me, I tend to like overlook the black items in my wardrobe, so it's nice that Ray has got me wearing these today. I've got my nice little Oroton bag and my big pink shacket. And I just love how this all comes together. But anyway, there's your update and your OOTD. I'm going to go do a bit more reading, and I feel like I'm probably going to finish this book this evening. So I will chat with you when I have finished it. Hi Blair. Let's hope we won't have to be DNFing any other bullshit misogynistic books in this video. Can I help you?
What are you doing?
I'm filming my little vlog bit.
Got no pants on?
They don't know that.
They do now?
They do now, thank you. Good evening, friends. Welcome to my bed where I have been chilling, reading, and I have just finished our book. I'm going to be honest with you, despite my initial positive thoughts, my enjoyment kind of just like steadily tapered off the longer the book went on. It sort of feels like one of those books that would have made a great short story, and instead we got a 250-page book. I thought that this book was going to be a little bit more like quirky, funny, along the lines of A Magical Girl Retires. Instead, it ended up being much more along the lines of something like Before the Coffee Gets Cold. Like, yes, we're spending some time in the department store with Penny, learning about these dreams, how they're made, their purpose, all of that good stuff. We also spend probably like half of the book just like meeting different like real life people who are like going to come to the department store in their dream. And we kind of like see how the dreams affect their real life. It sort of feels like one of those books that almost reads like a middle grade for adults. Like the characters almost felt like twee caricatures of the people I felt like they could have been. It was a quick read though. I was going to say I'm glad I read it, but I don't know that I would go that far. I'm not mad that I read it, I'll say. Anyway, that is it for me this evening. I'm going to go to bed. I'm absolutely knackered. So I suppose we will find out together what we're going to be reading next. I'll see you in the morning. Hello friends, it is Sunday and I have spent my day mostly listening to the new Cure album, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, this morning I woke up earlier than I usually do and I decided to sneak into here and just like pick a book that I wasn't even like thinking about. It's this one, Martyr. This book actually I picked out for Blair to buy me on my birthday back in September, and then the back is just full of like glowing recommendations from authors. We've got Tommy Orange, Clint Smith, Lauren Groff, and up the top is John Green, which just like that seemed like an odd choice. Just seemed like a little bit of an odd man out, you know, but I love John. And John said, so stunning, so wrenching, and so beautifully written that reading it for the first time, I kept forgetting to breathe. I will carry this story and the people in it with me for the rest of my life. So I cracked it open. I am now like just over 80 pages in. I'm up to chapter 8. And so far, I can confirm that the writing is incredible. What this book is about is kind of like a late 20s, I think, Iranian American man named Cyrus, who we learn early on in the book is newly sober. He's had issues in the past with alcohol and other drugs. We also learn that when he was very young, like I'm talking a few months old and still living in Iran with his parents, his mother boarded a plane that was then shot down by America. And essentially in the wake of this incident, Cyrus's dad moved him and Cyrus to America to try and start a new life. The other thing is that he's kind of obsessed with death. I think the idea of his mother's death being so meaningless kind of haunts him, and he has like a bit of like a fixation on the idea of a meaningful death, hence the title Martyr. I haven't read enough of it to know whether this is going to be as brilliant as all of the blurbs proclaim, but I'm seated. I'll say that much. I'm really enjoying the writing. I'm just enjoying being in Cyrus's head. And there's something about the writing and the way that the author is kind of like trying to evoke very specific details about like the complexities and weirdness of being alive, like existential kind of conversations, that does feel, and I promise this is a compliment coming from me, does feel a little John Green-esque. So it turns out John Green was maybe not such an unusual blurber after all. Is blurber the word? But right now I am setting this aside because we are about to head out on another birding adventure. This time though, we're going with my parents. It kind of started from originally Blair and I stumbled across a tawny frogmouth nest. I'll show you. Blair got a really cool picture actually. And Mum and Dad were very keen to come and have a look to see the tawny frogmouths too. However, when Blair and I went on our walk on Friday, we checked the nest and the tawny frogmouths were not there. Regardless though, we're still going to go on our little walk and I'm really looking forward to it, as always. I hope I'm going to be okay in short sleeves. I think I'm going to need a jacket though. Just quickly before we go, here's what I'm wearing today. I did just change my top. I was worried I'd be a little bit too cold, so I've changed for like a similar colour but long sleeve. I was going to wear my blue overshirt, but I don't know, I was just in the mood for pink. I know we've already worn the pink this week, but what can I say? I like the pink. I suppose we've also worn these pants before. We're getting lots of item repeating in this video, but that's just, I don't know. I wear what I feel like I want to wear. Sorry, I know the angle isn't ideal. I can't tell whether you can see my shoes. I got these Nike Air Force Ones on Depop because I like the colour. I did not need new shoes. And then of course, we're going birding. The sun's out. I need a hat. Don't have a bag today. Don't really have a need for it, but this is the outfit. I suppose my one accessory, thank you Ollie, will be my binoculars because we're going birding. Let's go. Hello friends, I'm about 30 pages off finishing Martyr, so I don't want to talk to you about it just yet because I feel like I want to wait until I'm finished to give you my full thoughts. However, I do have to head off to work right now. I'm not like doing a shift, we just have like a staff meeting this evening, so I thought I'd quickly show you my outfit before it gets dark by the time I get home. This outfit is actually one of my current favourites. I've worn it a few times lately, and it is inspired by one of the outfits that Ray made me in our recent hiring a stylist video. If you don't remember, Ray styled me in this outfit, so we have the same pants, the same shoes. That outfit was definitely outside of my comfort zone in terms of the colour palette. It was very light, pastel kind of vibes. Anyway, I decided to kind of take Ray's outfit and just make it a little bit more me. And I think in particular, the combination of the green and the blue we spoke about how I'm not really big on analogous colours. It's not something I reach for a lot. So I decided to kind of try it out here. And green is a colour I love. I have a lot of green, especially more kind of like dark, piney forest greens. So obviously the green and the blue, analogous, they work. But I think the fact that this jumper also has the orange and blue flowers, which we have the blue pants, which have orange accents, kind of just help to tie it together even more. I love this outfit. I think it's so fucking cute. And to top it off, it's so comfortable. So I think this outfit is a perfect example of how even when I don't necessarily love the outfits Ray makes for me, they still get me thinking about my clothes in new ways. And so even if I don't wear that exact outfit, I end up stumbling across something that I wouldn't have thought of on my own necessarily, that I do love. But I do have to go. I will talk to you later when I've probably finished this book tonight. I have just closed the shop. I'm at work. It's Tuesday. I feel like that was all in the wrong order. Anyway, I have a book to update you about, don't I? I have indeed finished Martyr. I finished it late last night. And I have to be honest with you, it wasn't my favourite. And I don't really know that I want to tell you much more about like the plot and what actually happens than I already have. I will say something that I did quite like about this book was the way that it explored addiction. As somebody who, is 10 years sober, there's also a lot here about being somebody whose identities kind of straddle multiple worlds and how complex and messy and difficult that can be, whether it's Iranian and American, whether it's not quite being straight, not quite being gay. But more than that, this book is about poetry and about art. I don't know that I'm going to be able to like justify or explain this as well as I should if I'm giving a review, but this book reminded me so much of Tomorrow, which is a book that I did not like at all. In fact, I really disliked that book. I didn't dislike Martyr in the same way, to be clear, but I think there's something about the storytelling and even elements of the plot and just like the focuses of the plot. Tomorrow is kind of like a romance book without being a romance book. It's about love, right? And different relationships and the complexities of different relationships and of love. Tomorrow also really focused on like games and art. And in particular, there was one game that was kind of like central as a metaphor to the whole thing. I feel like this book leans into poetry and other kinds of art form in a similar way. And also there's something about the writing itself. And I think, I don't know, there's something about like the characters and how they're pontificating a lot of the time. A lot of the epiphanies or like thoughtful elements of the book aren't necessarily just kind of like revealed to us through like the mind of the character or through the situation. Instead, they're explored through conversation and through dialogue. And we have a lot of characters like quoting fucking philosophers and poets all the time, which, like, to be fair, is pretty true to the character. But like, I feel like it's a particular kind of characterization that I feel like Tomorrow definitely leans heavily on, and even authors like John Green tend to lean heavily on. Obviously, it's much more grown up. Obviously, it's dealing with a lot of themes that John Green has never tackled, but there's something about the writing and the characters that give me vibes that sit somewhere between Tomorrow and John Green. Having said all of that, Tomorrow is a book that most people fucking love. Like, I was definitely in the tiny minority of disliking that book, so I feel like it's probably going to be the same here. So take my words with a grain of salt, please. Anyway, I feel like that's probably all I really need to tell you about Martyr. I'm kind of done thinking about it. It's going to be one of those books that I just sort of forget that I read, which is a little bit sad. But anyway, now we need to go over my outfit briefly. It was a pretty warm day today, so I'm keeping it pretty simple. So here's the gist of the outfit. We've got that green t-shirt. Do you remember I bought this at Mutual Muse when we went and sold a bunch of my clothes? And then also secondhand are these Lucy and Yak Cole jeans. You know I love my Cole jeans. Probably my favorite pair as well. I get compliments on them every single time I wear these, and I'm not above a compliment, you know? I love it. I am bringing home a couple of graphic novels just to borrow from work, so I'd really like to read one or two of those tonight. We'll see how we go. Good morning, friends. We are back at work. I'm opening today, and I'm here a little bit early to tell you that I actually read 2 graphic novels last night, just like I kind of like hoped I would, but didn't necessarily think I would. So the first one that I read was Bree Paulsen's new graphic novel. Bree Paulsen is the illustrator and creator of Garlic and the Witch, which you know I love. And this is her new one. It's called The Firelight, Apprentice. And this story is basically about 2 sisters. The older one one is very much kind of like taking on the responsibilities of the family, especially considering their father is very ill and their mother is dead. The younger sister, though, is a little bit more like off with the fairies. I mean, she's still got that innocence about her. She's also magical. She's a magician. So anyway, the older sister concocts this plan to take her to like a traveling circus to hopefully like catch the attention of a magician who might take her little sister under his wing. So it's a book about sisterhood and family, and it was sweet, but it just didn't have like the emotional resonance or like that super adorable factor that Garlic and the Witch did. Still a solid read, and I'm happy that I did read it. Next up, we have Anzu and the Realm of Darkness, which I don't know if this is a debut, but I'm not familiar with the author, who is Nguyen. In this story, we meet Anzu, who's a little girl who seems to be like living in America or something, and she's kind of like ashamed of her Japanese heritage, her Japanese culture, so she like introduces herself as Anne, things like that. She's scared to take her lunch to school, and just generally she's feeling very like disconnected and down when one day she's walking past the shrine and kind of wishing that she could just vanish. And so she kind of vanishes into the underworld. And it's one of those adventure stories where she's essentially trying to figure out how to return home, and she meets some dubious characters and also some friends along the way. I liked this one a lot. The illustrations are amazing, and I love how many different kind of like creatures and spirits we meet throughout the story. Anyway, while we're here, I suppose I should show you what I'm wearing today. I sort of feel like I'm matching the new Amari book a little bit with my purples and greens today. We're in for some weird weather today. It is getting up to 34 degrees, I think. So I'm wearing one of my old faithful favorite skirts. This green top you've seen before, I thrifted this up at the Gold Coast. And then I've just got this purple shorter sleeve kind of overshirt, just as like a little bit of a layering option. I didn't bring a jacket. I'm hoping I'm not going to regret that later tonight. Sometimes it's hard to stomach bringing a jacket when it's 33 degrees, you know, even if you know it's going to get colder later. I swear Melbourne weather does kind of mess with your head a little bit. But now it is time for me to open up the shop, so I will see you this evening when I get home. Well, it is Wednesday evening, I'm back at home, and that means we have spent an entire week together. And I can't quite believe that we finished 5 books. Obviously, my least favorite book that we read this week was, I mean, does this count if I only read 8 pages? I suppose probably not. But I think my favorite book of the entire video is the book that we started this whole thing with. I'm not very good at doing this one-handed. And that is, of course, Let This Radicalize You. I feel like we didn't end up speaking about it all that much. And it's a book that I like just keep thinking about, especially today is the 6th of November when I'm filming this, which is here in Australia, like the election day in the US. And I'm not going to lie, I am nervous and kind of apprehensive for what a second term of Trump in the White House means for America, but also the whole world. But equally, I have always been of the opinion that I think we focus a lot too much on electoral politics. And so I suppose I just wanted to take a second to remind everybody that electoral politics is not where politics starts and ends. It's not where our obligations as citizens starts and ends. Voting once every 4 years is not being politically engaged and politically active. That's a belief that I have held true to and very strongly in my heart for a long time. And I feel like this book just kind of cemented that in, or like galvanized that in a whole new way. Getting organized and getting involved in your community, both directly in terms of those living around you, but also in terms of people with a shared experience or people organizing around things that you are passionate about and care about. Whatever it is, I think that is something that we all can and should be doing more of, because we need each other. We need each other now more than ever. And whether it's the genocide in Gaza, whether it's the climate, whether it's reproductive rights, whether it's land rights, whether it's disability justice, we as individuals and we as communities can't just wait 4 years, you know, to start taking care of each other, to start taking better care of each other. I'd love to hear if you had a favorite outfit or if you've read any of these books. If you have any thoughts you'd like to share, please do so in the comments below. As always, a big thank you to my lovely patrons over on Patreon, and especially big thank you to Livia, Lynette Brown and Marie. And thanks for watching. Thanks for being here with me for a whole week. I hope you enjoyed your time. I certainly did. I will see you again next week with another video. Until then, so much love. Happy reading. Bye.